Adrex gained 5 hit points. Birdie gained 5 hit points.
Well, who are you healing first?
Adrex first.
Okay, so Birdie, an additional 1 point of slashing damage.
Okay.
As Raazu heals Adrex first because he's her favorite.
I mean,
She doesn't have favorites.
She has anti-favorites.
Right.
Raazu applies a poultice to herself as well for 5 points, and then looks. Hey,
Pretty
guys,
still bleeding to death.
I took a beating. Well, no, I gave you healing.
How much?
5 hit points.
And just the act of receiving that healing staunches the flow of blood.
Right, okay, cool. Alright, upstairs we go. Quickly, everyone.
Birdie grabs Saudade by the hand and brings her on.
Okay. I don't know why Birdie's always enormous on this map.
Because he's powerful.
What has he
We
done?
go straight to the 3rd floor, or are we skipping the 2nd
I'm
floor?
assuming you're going up to
Yes.
Daedradiah's room.
Yep.
Did you want to stop on the 2nd floor?
I didn't know if there was going to be more bullshit in between us and Daedradiah.
All right, fine. Let's go back to the 2nd floor. I can throw more golems on the map. If you're
I
gonna
was expecting it.
No, coming up to Daedradiah's room. As you're coming up this hallway here, you hear sounds from the room. And you hear a loud crash. And then someone cry out. Coming from Daedradiah's quarters.
Raazu picks up her pace. Goes to the door.
The door has been blown off of its hinges. And this entire section where you guys are walking into is covered in soot and ash. Wisps of smoke curling into the air. Looking into this room, you can see that most of Daedradiah's materials are strewn about in disarray, and a great amount of the room is on fire. In the center of the room, you see this horrible creature. This corpse wearing desiccated robes, and in a long, spindly skeletal hand covered in blood, as she has impaled Daedradiah in her chest and has bodily lifted her up off of the ground. Raazu looking at this creature and looking at Daedradiah squirming in the thing's grasp, you can tell that it's got hold of her ribcage inside of her chest. And the creature is speaking in a low voice. It doesn't sound like it's coming from her. It sounds like it's coming from another world. And it's not a language. It's just... It's like a sound that predates language. And these words are just falling on Daedradiah, and you can see the life is slowly emanating out from her. The creature is also wounded. You can tell that Daedradiah has thrown essentially anything that she had against it. The corners of the thing's robes are smoldering and scorched. Part of its face, which is just a skull with wisps of silver hair coming down the front of it, looks like it's been crushed as part of it has been collapsed in. And that's the scene you see. Daedradiah barely manages to turn her head in your direction and mouths something to her, but she can't form words because you imagine the thing's got a grip on her lungs.
Raazu gives a wry smile and says, "Looks like the true master of the castle's returned."
You're not even going to help your fox friend?
I thought they were jackals.
She did all this cool stuff for you guys and gave you all these treasures.
She fucking with a lich.
Yeah, you tried to you're trying to shackle a lich, lady. That you're asking for fire there.
We're probably dead next, so
Yeah, I mean,
you know what?
So what are you guys doing in relation to this door? Did Wendy actually go into this room? What's
Yes, sorry. Let me place myself in a more reasonable position. I'll put myself in the room because I'm going to step in.
You're
yeah,
entering the
Raazu's gonna
room?
step through as well.
Yeah.
When you attempt to enter the room, the creature's gaze snaps in your direction. And Wendy, the sensation is especially unnerving for you because you can see this thing's face, this collapsed skull, and just the nothingness behind where its eye sockets can be. Like, even though you can't see, the visage of this terrible creature still forms in front of you as it turns its gaze in your direction and continues speaking in these low intonations. And it says your names, your true names, your given names. Raazu, she names your clan, and Wendy, you hear these intonations form whistling sounds. And it's a warning that stepping into the threshold of this room will be your demise.
Yeah, no, okay then.
Do you continue in?
Nah.
Wendy?
We can communicate first.
Yeah.
So you all just watch as she continues to crush the life out of your dear, trusted companion, Daedra Daya.
Birdie is like just clapping happily.
Holy shit!
What a dickhead!
So, what was the name of the thing that we were going to this lich for assistance with? I remember it was given some kind of like term.
There was a great cataclysm in the age before when Vornok Keep. Lady Serena was the heiress to the keep. Her father was the king here, and she was a great adventurer who went on many travels with Breniar's son.
Then I'll hold up a hand and then say, you said her name was Lady Serena?
Yes.
I'll say, Lady Serena, we're here to request your assistance with another cataclysm which is occurring. We heard that you did your best to prevent the last one.
And Wendy, you're speaking. What language are you speaking in?
Common.
And as you're speaking, at first the sentence leaves your mouth as you expect it to, as you intend. But you find first your cadence begins to match her intonations. And then the words begin to match. And you find yourself speaking a language you don't know. And you feel something inside of you giving way to her spell, as though you're adding to it, weaving into it, just with the sound of your voice.
Do I get the impression that my intention is still getting across, though? You know, monk bullshit?
Possible.
Okay. Then I'm fine with that.
Okay. So, I mean, are you going to continue to speak to her knowing this?
Yeah. Assuming that I kind of have the belief that either way, like, the intention of my words is getting across, then yeah, I'm going to continue speaking.
What weapons are you wearing, Wendy, right now? Like, are you currently armed? Do you have a weapon at the ready?
It's not at the ready, but it's at my side. I've got my longsword, my bow,
okay.
A whip.
And you're speaking, saying her name and telling her why you're here, and you find your hand curling around the hilt of your longsword. And there's a slumping sound as the creature throws Daedra Daya at your feet. And she turns to you. And in the common tongue, for the first time, she speaks to you. And her voice, her real voice, is hollow and old and very dusty. And there's almost not even an inclination of femininity there anymore. And she tells you, as her subject, your first task is to put this wretched usurper to death. Daedra Daya is on the floor in front of you, wheezing and clutching her bloody chest.
I feel you might have a misunderstanding of who we are. We're not your subjects. We come from the Southlands.
She says, one of us certainly does have a misunderstanding. And you feel your grip tighten around your sword. What are the rest of you doing?
Birdie's just bodily in front of Thada. That's all he's doing.
So we've stopped with the clapping and jumping.
Yeah.
That's over. Adrex, standing near to Wendy, you also feel your hand clutching at your short sword.
Adrex the failsafe, Raazu says.
Oh, Raazu's right there as well. Then yeah, Raazu.
Yeah.
You not only feel your hand clutching at the hilt of your whip, but you also feel your will reshaping it the way that you can. into an executioner's weapon. You feel it getting heavier and more solid in your grip, and you realize after a moment that you're no longer holding your whip, but you're holding a greatsword.
Brick, I'm going to
Raazu.
try to reorganize my my thoughts to get a handle on the situation.
Okay.
Is it possible to use stillness of mind to end my hand gripping the weapon?
You don't have to do any kind of special action to stop that. It's just you find yourself doing it unconsciously. As soon as you're conscious of it, you can stop doing it. You don't feel yourself compelled to act in any particular way.
And Wendy will consciously let go of her longsword, and then say, "Is the tradition of nobility in the North then ingratitude?"
She tells you that the tradition of nobility in the North is mercy.
And Wendy waves a hand at the woman collapsed at her feet before me. I haven't seen any evidence of that.
And she reaches down with her hand, and without touching the creature laying on the ground, gasping for punctured lungfuls of air, rises up off the ground without the lich touching her. And she says, "The traditions of mercy has failed us, and it is time for a new tradition."
On that, we agree, Raazu says.
And as she flings Daedra Daya at your feet and looks to you.
Raazu severs her head.
Of course she does. Yeah, Raazu, you bring down... And it takes both hands. You're not wielding a greatsword in one hand. You're not that badass.
Yeah.
And you bring down and you do this execution. And when that happens, it feels like something powerful in the keep is snuffed out. Like a breath inside of the castle is released. And things seem quieter than before.
Raazu will shift the weapon to a trident. And then says, "Lady Serena, we have business regarding the upcoming cataclysm. And I'm pretty sure you already know that this creature meant to bind you to her will."
I'm going to make an insight check at disadvantage. In fact, I'll let everybody make this insight check at disadvantage. The creature tells you that there is no averting the cataclysm. That it is
16.
inevitable. And she describes this cataclysm in great detail. What's about to happen. We got a 16. What else did we get on that check? 23?
12.
18 here.
13.
Adrex and Birdie, you're like, wow, this sounds bad. The rest of you realize that she's not describing what's going to happen next. Brenier told you that it would be unknowable. She's describing what's already happened. And you realize that part of her mind is still in that previous age. She doesn't know that this cataclysm has stricken. She's not entirely here.
Raazu waves the description that she gives aside and says, "That's already happened. The beings who bound you are long dead, and their bones turned to dust." And Raazu referring to the tree outside.
As you're explaining this, she reaches down and she picks up Daedra Daya's staff that you've seen her with. And she takes a stride towards the doorway to the room and looks around at all of you.
Raazu holds her ground.
I'm going to need Adrex to make a saving throw here.
Oh great! Here comes another Adrex charm. What am I?
You're within 10 feet of Raazu.
Where's my... Oh, my phone's way over there. I gotta get my phone out of the tunnel, guys.
Makes sense.
So I can know what this spell is.
Why'd you leave your phone in the tunnel? Seems inconvenient.
Oh,
Because it was almost...
spell, huh?
We played Jackbox games all last night, and I had to charge it when I got home.
Oh, spell, huh? So I guess that means Adrex makes us check it. It makes the saving throw at advantage.
Yeah, it's fine.
Powerful arcane
And +5.
electric energies of the tunnel.
No, Adrex, you don't get any kind of saving throw. You can make a strength check. And you better roll real high, because she did.
Oh. Okay. I think I know what spell this is.
It's a 21.
21. She beat you. She holds this staff out.
Really?
And you feel, Birdie, you feel this more succinctly than anybody, the magic emanating from this staff. And Adrex, you feel the staff grip you, and all of your muscles go taut. Anything you were holding in your hand clatters to the ground. And she lifts you off the ground with your staff. Where do you have the bow? Is it just slung across your back?
It would be across my back, yeah.
And she looks at you, and you feel the nothingness in her eyes burning into you. And she says, I mark you a thief. And the rest of you can tell that she's fixating on this bow that Adrex is carrying.
Raazu snarls. You mark the recipient of a gift. It was given to him by Berniar, the Great Glimmer.
What she said. Yeah.
Oh, you can't talk. You're
Okay. Never mind.
She steps forward, and as she does, Adrex, you're moving in front of her, which means I guess they're coming around the corner towards Red.
Can I physically grab Adrex and move him while this is happening?
You can certainly try. Is that a thing you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and make a grapple check against Adrex's,
Is she just pushing past Raazu then? Because
she's
Raazu
pushing through the doorway. Are you stopping her?
Because Raazu hasn't moved from the doorway.
No, but she can move around you unless you're trying to stop
I got
her.
a 19 on that grapple.
Okay, so yeah, you grab hold of Adrex and you manage to wrestle him to the ground. But he's still being held telekinetically by the staff. So, Raazu, what are you doing? Are we rolling initiative? That'd be fun.
Raazu says, release him and we can talk about this like civilized people.
And she tells you that the cataclysm has destroyed civilization, that there are no more civilized people. There are those with the will to live, and there are those who die screaming.
Raazu steps aside, and she looks really upset right now because her failsafe is no longer her failsafe has failed.
And she's looking down now at Red, who's pulling Adrex to the ground. Adrex, you still feel this thing holding you. And she looks around as though seeing all of you for the first time. And then back to Red specifically. And she says, but you are not thieves. And she clasps the staff against the ground, clacks it once, and Adrex, you feel the grip subside.
I would like to live. Just saying. If it comes to that. I enjoy fighting to live.
Do you understand yet? The creature turns back to Raazu. And you see there's no flesh or anything on her face to mark any kind of expression.
Hello?
Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good.
That didn't sound good at all.
In fact, bad.
That sounded pretty awful there. You back, Brickroad?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
are.
hear
Are
you.
you back?
My
Yeah, you're
internet
back.
is, I've got the little bars, they
Yeah.
all just turned into pumpkins. That's weird.
Pumpkin Spice Internet is back.
Yay!
So, it's impossible to read her
Cover.
face. She doesn't have any musculature for expression. But you can tell that understanding is very far away. That there's a layer of confusion there.
And Wendy will face her and say, Bernier told us that while the calamity can't be stopped, it can be changed, and that you would have the knowledge necessary in order to do this. Is that the case?
And then she turns to Windy and looks at Windy. But there's no response. When she turns and she's done turning, she stands very, very still.
Raazu speaks and says, I hate to keep belaboring the point, but I think what Berniar was saying was that you sought to reverse the cataclysm ages past, and were unable to do so.
Question: did Briniar tell us who killed his son? Like, I vaguely recall that it was like because of something related to or to the people we're fighting, and that's why she might help us.
There was a great war in the days just before the cataclysm, and his son was slain in the war against the Lord of Blades.
Right. And we are currently in conflict with one of his lieutenants?
Yes. Mammon. One of his lieutenants has usurped the Lord of Blades' seat.
And the creature suddenly slumps her shoulders downward and begins to look very tired. And speaks and simply says, "Leave me." And then with a word, she vanishes from sight and becomes invisible. Is anybody
Let's
trying
give her
to...
some time to come to terms with this.
What?
Yeah.
For real, though?
I mean, she
choke
didn't...
me out like that, call me a thief, and then you just vanished? Oh.
Hey,
Raazu
you're
calls
okay.
out, Raazu calls out, we'll be in the room across the hall.
You're not on fire.
When she leaves, she goes this way, and she moves very swiftly through this hallway.
Actually, no, then if that's the case, then Raazu... Well,
Yeah, being invisible doesn't actually help against literally half the people in this party.
yeah, so Windy would probably be the best.
There's Windy
to
and two
track
rogues
her.
with blind sense.
Oh, I'm not distracting her. Wendy's heading down the stairs to tell everyone to get out of the frickin' way of the ledge.
She ends up going to the what at one point was the throne room on the second floor.
Mm.
This great room here. And when she enters the room, the doors slam behind her and seal.
I guess we wait here until she comes to terms with it.
And we'll take our break there. Let us reconvene in about 15 minutes. It's actually much, much later than I thought it was.
Yeah.
We'll reconvene at 5:15. I'll just pretend like I know what's going on right now. Adrex, why are you on
You
a
don't
big
want to.
red thing?
You're happier as you are.
It's my Tensor's floating disk. It's, of course. I learned it from the book.
Okay. So yeah, she
Seals.
disappears into what was an empty throne room. And the doors seal shut behind her.
Raazu reaches out and attempts to open the doors again.
And you find that they are sealed magically.
I guess we wait until she decides that she's ready to come out.
Or destroy. I'm sure
Wow.
she will come to her senses, though.
Yeah, we'll have like busting in on the homicidal like corpse lady thing who lifted you off the ground with one motion as plan B.
She's a lich, and her name is...
Serena.
Serena.
It's not what I wrote down, but that's what we're going with. Serena.
Lady... Oh, it's not Serena. It's Sana Vorina.
Son of Arena.
That's what I wrote down.
Yeah. That sounds alright.
I mean, Serena is close enough, right? It's a translation error.
And Raazu, you can very faintly hear music coming from inside the room. Standing right next to the door, like with your ear pressed against it.
What kind of music is it?
Joyful
Of course,
music.
Raazu's not very...
Instruments that you're not sure that you can identify. There's maybe some strings in there. There's maybe a woodwind or two. Definitely multiple instruments from multiple positions inside of the room.
Raazu strokes her chin, looks to the others, and says, "Well, like I said, and she will point out the music to the others, and then say,
Music.
I mean, Adrex, you can play the piano, right?
I can.
And you can also play the horn.
I can. Last time I busted out musical instruments, though, I wound up stabbed, so...
Do you recognize the piece, though?
You do not.
I do not.
Probably something from her own time, then.
What are the rest of you doing? Birdie and Wendy.
Wendy's
and Red.
gone downstairs to warn everyone to stay out of the way of the lich.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just keeping an eye on Thada and keeping her from like wandering around and getting.
She's following very close to Raazu. What about Red?
At this point, I mean, if the Lich is doing her thing, and I don't know, Red'll probably just park himself in front of the window, watch the city move by, life move by behind him. Or does it sit on the plant right now?
It's wherever you guys left it.
Probably the beach.
And it's easy to move in any event. You can turn it wherever you need to.
Yeah, Red'll just move it over to the beach, just watch the sun set in a place a little bit less dreary.
Hey Raazu, you got little orc girl?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go with Red.
Okay.
Adrex will read the book in the meantime.
Raazu maintains her vigil, though.
Raazu, after several hours, in the dead of night, the door opens. And the inside of the throne room looks very different. It looks vibrant and filled with lights. Lights that are magical in nature. Not torches sitting in sconces on the wall, but sparks of illumination high up on the ceiling, casting this bright white glow down into the room. See, the throne is remade, and thrown out in front of it is a beautiful violet carpet that goes down the stairs and out through the front of the door. And you feel warmth emanating from the room. And inside you hear the faraway just din of chatter and laughter, and the music grows louder as the Lich strides out. Doesn't even pay you any attention.
Once the door opens, Raazu lets out a shrill whistle to alert the others.
Okay? Yeah, she just strides past you without even a glance and starts down the stairs.
Raazu, as she starts going down the stairs, Raazu gestures to Thada, make sure everyone else comes this way.
Thada is mesmerized by looking into the room and listening to the sounds coming from within.
Raazu puts a hand on Thada's shoulder and says, "We need to stay on task.
She
Make sure that everyone follows along with me."
She points into the room and says, "But what about them?"
Raazu looks up into the other room.
Looking into the throne room, you can see many people here, knights standing at attention, noble lords and ladies in the room bantering with each other, servants going between them. And they're ghosts. They're transparent. They're clearly illusions.
Yeah, they didn't even react to the Raazu's whistle.
No.
Yeah, Raazu shakes her head and says, "They're not. They're either shades conjured by her or something else, but they're not tangible."
What about the rest of you when you hear Raazu whistle for your attention?
I'm going to head to go see what the Lich is doing.
Raazu's keeping about
Go to
15
Raazu.
feet behind the Lich.
Okay. Is everybody following then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted.
She heads down to the first floor. She comes down these stairs here. and faces this door. And after a few moments, you hear the sound of brick crumbling away. As the stones on the other side, the mortar cracks, splits, and the doorway stands open, leading out into the entryway. And then she turns and strides towards the chapel.
I'm gonna keep following her.
She enters this doorway and stops as soon as she's on the inside of it. And is very still for a very long time. And then she throws her hand backwards and the door slams and seals.
Other size.
Sorry, which one is the chapel?
20.
This one right here.
Adrex politely knocks on the door and says, "You know, we could try to help you get through this if you talk to us."
And as you speak your sentence, just like the sensation Wendy felt earlier, they start out as your words, but they start to fall into a cadence you don't intend. And then the words split apart and reform. And you feel the magic on the other side of the door as you're adding your words to whatever spell is being woven therein.
Okay, well, I guess that's a no. Adrex walks away.
Raazu frowns.
Thoughta comments that the Lich seems to be very impolite, and she does not approve.
Well, I think we're just going to let the Lich do what she wants for the time being.
Well, she's not. She's not. What am I trying to say? She's not. Raazu looks back upstairs, presumably at the throne room with all the spectral. It looks like she's trying to rebuild what was left of her past.
Birdie nods and goes, "Yeah, crazy people are very rarely polite."
That's the thing that Birdie said out loud within earshot of a Lich.
That's alright, the Lich is crazy.
That's why we like him.
Hey, Birdie, where did that book you got come from?
It came from Daedra, yeah.
Where?
You mean like where did Daedra get it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Want to go look?
Sure.
That room seemed pretty fucked up earlier.
I mean, they set fire to everything, but yeah.
Are you going back to Daedra quarters, you mean?
I think, yeah, we're gonna just, like... We're gonna start there, but maybe there's some kind of, like, hidden storage location that we can now find that she's dead.
And there absolutely is. As you go through the wreckage of her room, there was a secret door in the back of her room. Is it on the map, or did I erase it, I wonder? No, it's on the map. I just have to make a revealer here. And we have to make it smaller.
Did we not? We checked this room before. It had the slab in it.
Oh, wait a second. What is this? Dude, I can set it to... Oh, I can't spin it when I do that, though.
Oh.
Anyway, sorry. I found a new slider.
Eternally more sliders.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, we had already looked in this room. There was like a slab
Nope.
there, yeah?
That's a separate one.
Ah.
Yeah, so there's the secret room behind Daedra room that is mostly unscathed by the fireball that clearly went off in here. Actually, multiple fireballs, considering these combatants. But the secret door was hidden behind probably just most of a bookshelf that has been blown apart and the stone creaks inward. And you find all kinds of stuff in here.
Yay.
The first thing you see is on the floor, right inside of the doorway, is essentially a glass box It's rectangular, and it's fairly large, and it doesn't have harsh edges. It has very rounded edges, and you see it has metal bandings on it that surround it. And it looks exactly like the phylactery that you found in the roots, just much larger. And it's currently sitting in the ground, opened and empty. Also in this room, somebody's going to want to get get their notepad out.
Gotcha.
Daedra Daya's secret stash. A magic ring.
Okay.
A bag that weighs about 2.5 pounds. Just a very unassuming brown leather sack that fits in the palm of your hand, but has some heft to it. About 2.5 pounds, and it feels like it contains like small squishy marbles. 3 scrolls that do not contain runes that look like spells. These are not spell scrolls. And 4 potions. Potion V and W. Each contain yellow liquid with an eyeball floating in it, just bobbing up and down in the liquid. Potion U is a glass of wispy fog. Potion X is a very deep, almost blood orange color, and the vial is very warm to the touch. And that's what's in her secret staff.
Okay.
In addition to all her books and parchments and things, but it's going to take some time to actually go through what materials in this room are still usable. Raazu, did you come up and help them search the room, or are you staying back down at the chapel?
Raazu wanted to stay down by the chapel because she actually wanted to ask Red something.
After a few moments standing out there, you hear sounds from inside the chapel, much as you started hearing music outside the throne room. You're hearing a congregation chanting, singing, joining in a hymn. It's a very calming sensation emanating from the door, but the door remains sealed.
Adrex is down there too.
Okay.
Raazu sighs and says she's cloistering herself from reality.
My assumption is that when she's doing the thing where my voice, or Adrex's voice, synchronizes to whatever that reaction. It's starting out to be like a hostile.
Make an Arcana check.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Can I roll an Arcana check to see what is actually going on?
Actually, make this an advantage because you've been studying a book about contestants.
That's a 16.
You understand that contestants is the magic of the world. Like, the world itself has like a magic kind of background radiation that skilled people can reach out and control. And that's what Birdie's doing whenever he creates the wacky acid tentacles, is he's reaching out to this contestants and shaping it to be something that wasn't there. Whatever magic she's using is a very ancient and very powerful form of this. And she's giving no regard to where she's grabbing this magic from to reshape, even if she's taking it directly from you. So if you're nearby, you find your words slipping into hers. It's not an act of hostility on her part. More like just an act of indifference. Your magic is nearby, and she's going to take it because she wants it for her use at this moment. However, it wouldn't take... It's not a big leap from there to she could use it as an act of hostility. And you're starting to think, maybe Birdie had the right idea curling up on the ground and whining.
Adrex is a bigger willpower than Birdie, though. He's going to take a few...
Adrex doesn't have the
more
level of
torch.
understanding that Birdie does.
That too.
Yeah, Raazu does say that she's just cloistering herself. She's rejecting the world around her.
Is anybody giving any specific advice to the 3 servants down in the basement?
Well, they've been warned by Windy that
To kind of
the lich on loose, right?
to kind of stay out of her way, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna essentially just once it's clear that she's not immediately moving downstairs, like kind of give them down the entire rundown. Like, listen, Daedradai is dead. This lich is here now. We have no idea how that's going to impact the situation in this keep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Raazu, after being shut up in that room for a couple of hours, the door again opens to the chapel. And inside of it you see rows of pews, again with illusory people sitting in them. She's replaced the magical artifact from this closet that was pried off of the wall back up onto the wall where it was supposed to be. And you see light shining into the room and illuminating this big white disc. And at one point in the castle's construction, this would have been sunlight, like a skylight coming in from the side of the wall. But that skylight has been destroyed, filled in. So she's just replicating it now. She steps out of the room, and Raazu is standing there. And for the first time, she glances down at you, but only for a moment. But doesn't break her stride as she starts heading out the front door of the keep.
Raazu follows pace with her and says, "My lady, this is not the world you left behind. This is countless years since then. The world that you're walking out into is not the one you left."
She walks out onto the stairs, looking out into the curtain walls where you've got this layers of snow from this blizzard and this huge burned out tree that's still smoldering.
And Raazu attempts to get her to listen to her as best she can. She's continuing to speak insistently about...
And she throws these doors shut. And as they do, the hinges reform. And a great crossbar that you didn't see before latches down into place on your side of the door. As she seals herself outside.
Raazu tries to lift the bar.
And this should not be difficult work, but it is magically sealed. If it were not magically sealed, it's just a wooden crossbar that somebody of Raazu's strength would have no difficulty lifting out of place.
Raazu frowns and looks indignant at this.
Do we see anything outside the arrow slits?
From what floor and from what room?
Well, Birdie would have been... We were up in the room over there with the secret passage. Birdie probably would have taken the...
Oop, this is the wrong floor.
One more up.
There we go.
Like, I mean, this has been our safe room, so Birdie would have taken anything he was looking at in here.
It was your safe room, but this front door of this room has been blown open now because fireballs have been going off.
Right, but still.
Looking at the arrow slits of the room, you see her standing on the steps, and you watch her working magic, and as she does, the snow melts away. The burned out tree, the fires and embers die, and the tree crumbles and vanishes. The broken parts of the walls repair themselves. The front gate reconfigures itself. You hear chains as though a drawbridge is being pulled up. And you see grass spreading out from the stairs out towards the walls. Beds of flowers grow, and you see illusions of people in the yard. Young boys with wooden swords playing, and their master at arms barking orders. You see people carrying food and water back and forth, and the courtyard comes to life. And these 4 statues, which were at one point gargoyles that you guys were fighting. I'm going to go ahead and delete the fog of war from here too as well. There we go. Yeah, these 4 statues that you guys at one point were fighting become great stone statues of dwarven warriors with fierce beards and battle axes. And with this work done, you see her walk off to the left and come around the corner of the keep and disappear.
Sorry for interrupting you, Raazu.
I mean, not much we can do because but we need to get her to see. We need to get her to see that this is futile.
Adrex will go, because he's on the first floor with Raazu. He'll go around and go exit towards. I believe there's an exit here that goes out this way towards the stable.
There is. There's a kitchen. There's an exit out of the kitchen.
Yeah. So.
So, Wendy, how long do you think a midlife crisis would last for an immortal lich?
What's half of infinity?
I think that's still infinity, but
When you guys come out of this door, you see the grass is continuing to spread even under your feet, and the snowpack on top of the castle is falling away, and the air feels warmer, and you hear the sounds of barking dogs from around the corner and emanating from the dilapidated kennel. What do you guys do next?
This is all illusory, right?
The creatures that you see, the people that you see in the courtyard, the dogs, are illusory. The grass, the flowers, the lack of snow, the lack of cold, the walls reshaping themselves, those all seem much more tangible.
Raazu tries to intercede herself between her and says, "You're creating paper tigers, things that don't exist."
Raazu gazes down at the two of you